There was a man who struggled with money his entire life. No matter what job he took or how hard he worked, he always ended up broke. And when asked about his finances, he would always say the same thing: "I'm just not good with money." He never questioned it, never thought to challenge it. It was just a fact in his mind. And so, it became a fact in his life. But was it ever really true? Or was it simply a belief repeated so often that his subconscious accepted it and shaped his reality around it? Think about your own life. How many times have you told yourself the same story? "I always attract the wrong relationships. I never have enough time. Things never work out for me." You might think these are just observations, but in reality they are instructions, commands that your subconscious follows without question. Neville Goddard said, "An assumption, though false if persisted in, will harden into fact." That means it doesn't matter if something is true right now. If you repeat it enough, it will become true. And this isn't just a philosophy, it's a fundamental principle of how the mind works. Every great achiever has used this law, whether they were aware of it or not. Muhammad Ali told himself, "I am the greatest," long before anyone else saw him that way. Jim Carrey wrote himself a check for $10 million before he was famous, and years later he landed a role that paid him exactly that. Even Thomas Edison, after failing thousands of times to create the light bulb, kept repeating the belief that he would succeed, and he did. So what about you? What have you been repeating, consciously or unconsciously? What beliefs have you reinforced day after day, year after year, without even realizing it? Because here's the reality: if you don't take control of what you're repeating, your mind will do it for you, and it will keep reinforcing whatever patterns you've already established, whether they serve you or not. How many years have passed while you've told yourself the same excuses? How many times have you repeated the same doubts? If you don't change what you repeat, your future will look exactly like your past. But here's the good news: if repetition can create limitations, it can also create miracles. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how to use this law to reprogram your subconscious mind, dissolve limiting beliefs, and finally manifest the life you desire. This isn't theory. This is how reality works. Let's begin. If you want to understand why your life looks the way it does, look at what you have been repeating, not just in your words, but in your thoughts, feelings, and assumptions. Every day, whether you realize it or not, you are telling yourself a story. That story may be empowering or it may be limiting, but either way, it is shaping your world. Repetition is the foundation of all belief. No one is born thinking they are unlucky, unworthy, or incapable. These ideas are learned, reinforced, and eventually accepted as truth through repetition. The mind is like soil. It does not question what is planted. If you repeatedly sow seeds of doubt, failure, and limitation, that is exactly what will grow. But if you plant confidence, success, and abundance, your mind will accept those as reality instead. Think about a skill you have mastered in your life. Maybe it's driving a car, playing an instrument, or even just typing on a keyboard. In the beginning, it required conscious effort, but through repetition, it became automatic. The same process applies to your beliefs. What you tell yourself every day becomes effortless. It moves from something you are saying to something you simply are. Neville Goddard said, "Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled and continue in that assumption until it becomes your dominant mood." That is the key. Not a single thought, not a one-time affirmation, but a dominant mood. An inner knowing that is reinforced again and again until it solidifies into reality. Many people struggle with manifestation because they treat it like a wish rather than a habit. They affirm something once, visualize it briefly, and then wonder why nothing changes. But the mind does not work that way. It needs consistency. It needs repetition. A single drop of water does nothing, but a continuous stream can carve through stone. Look at your life and ask yourself, what have you been carving into your reality? Are you reinforcing confidence or doubt, success or struggle? The good news is that you have the power to change it. No belief is permanent unless you continue to repeat it. The moment you decide to plant new thoughts and nourish them daily, your entire world will begin to shift. The process is simple, but it requires persistence. You must take control of your inner dialogue and repeat only what serves you, because whether you do it consciously or unconsciously, repetition is shaping your destiny. The question is, are you shaping it intentionally? The moments before sleep are the most powerful of your entire day. In that drowsy state, when you are no longer fully awake but not yet asleep, your mind is wide open. The conscious mind begins to fade, and the subconscious becomes receptive. absorbing whatever you impress upon it. Most people go to sleep replaying their worries, regrets, and frustrations. They review their failures, relive painful conversations, or anticipate struggles for the next day. And without realizing it, they are planting these thoughts into the most fertile soil of the mind. Night after night, they reinforce the same fears, the same limitations, the same doubts, and then they wonder why nothing changes. Neville Goddard taught that the final moments before sleep determine the direction of your life. He said, "The feeling which dominates just before sleep is the one that will be present throughout the night, and your subconscious will work tirelessly to bring it into reality." This means that if you fall asleep in frustration, your subconscious will magnify frustration. If you fall asleep in gratitude, it will magnify gratitude. If you fall asleep in the feeling of your wish fulfilled, it will work to bring it to life. This is why repetition before sleep is so powerful. When you deliberately choose what to focus on in those last moments, you take control of the direction your mind is moving. Instead of replaying old failures, you can impress new successes. Instead of reinforcing fear, you can establish confidence. The key is to select a single scene that represents your desire as already fulfilled. Something simple, vivid, and emotionally charged. If you want financial abundance, see yourself checking your bank account and smiling at the number. If you want love, feel the warmth of your partner's embrace. The scene doesn't have to be long, but it must be repeated, again and again, until the mind accepts it as natural. At first, it may feel forced. The old patterns will try to pull you back, but with persistence, the repetition will take hold. What once felt like imagination will begin to feel real, and once it feels real, the world has no choice but to reflect it. The state in which you fall asleep is the state in which you will wake, and over time, it becomes the state in which you live. What are you programming into your mind before you sleep? Because whether you do it consciously or not, you are planting something. The question is, are you planting weeds, or are you planting miracles? Rewrite your past through revision. What if the past was not fixed? What if the events that shaped you, the disappointments, the failures, the heartbreaks could be rewritten, not as a fantasy, but as a way to change how they continue to affect your present? Neville Goddard taught that the mind does not distinguish between what is real and what is imagined. Whatever you accept as true, whether past or future, will shape your reality. This means that the way you remember an event is far more important than the event itself. If you constantly replay a moment of rejection, betrayal, or failure, you are reinforcing it, strengthening its influence over you. But if you revise it, if you consciously relive that moment in a new way, you can change its effect on your subconscious mind, and therefore your future. Think of a painful memory that still lingers in your mind. Perhaps it was a time when you were criticized, when an opportunity slipped away, when someone made you feel small. Notice how easily the feelings return when you recall it. That is because your subconscious has stored it exactly as you experienced it, and each time you revisit it, you reinforce its power. Now consider this. What if, instead of remembering it as it happened, you remembered it as you wish it had happened? What if the person who rejected you had smiled and welcomed you instead? What if the words spoken to you had been encouraging rather than discouraging? What if the moment of loss had been a moment of triumph? Neville called this practice revision. He said, "Change the past by revising it. The present and future will reflect the change." When you revise a past event, you are not changing history. You are changing your relationship to it. You are dissolving the negative emotion tied to it and replacing it with something that empowers you. The mind does not hold on to facts. It holds on to interpretations, and interpretations can be rewritten. The more you repeat the revised version of an event, the more your subconscious will accept it. And when it does, the effects of the old memory will fade, and your reality will shift to match the new version. There are no limits to what can be revised. A childhood experience, a failed opportunity, even something that happened yesterday. Everything exists only in your memory, and memory is fluid. The only thing keeping a painful past alive is your repetition of it. But the moment you decide to revise, you take back your power. The past is not holding you back. The way you remember it is. Change the memory, and the future will change with it. Shape your identity through repetition. Everything you experience in life is a direct reflection of who you believe you are, not who you want to be, not who you hope to become, but the identity you consistently reinforce through repetition. Your self-concept, Your deep automatic sense of I am determines what you accept, what you attract, and what you allow into your world. Look at any area of your life where you feel stuck. Behind every struggle, there is a repeated belief about yourself. A person who says, "I can never lose weight," does not struggle because of diet or exercise alone. They struggle because they have reinforced the idea that they are someone who cannot change. A person who says, "I'm always broke," does not remain in financial lack because of external circumstances alone. They do so because, at the core, they have assumed the identity of someone who never has enough. Neville Goddard said, "To be transformed, the whole basis of your thoughts must change. But your thoughts cannot change unless you have new ideas, for you think from your ideas." This means that if you want a new reality, you must first become a new version of yourself. And the way to do that is through repetition. You must see yourself differently, think of yourself differently, and speak of yourself differently, again and again, until the new identity becomes natural. When you consistently repeat, "I am successful," "I am confident," "I am loved," you are not just saying words. You are reshaping your inner world. At first, it may feel false. Your old patterns may resist. But as you persist, the repetition will take hold. The new identity will become familiar and reality will begin to shift to reflect it. This is why writing affirmations can be so powerful. When you write something down repeatedly, you are impressing it onto the subconscious with even greater intensity. The physical act of writing forces focus, engages the mind, and deepens the impression. If you write, "I am worthy of success," 100 times a day, your subconscious will begin to accept it as truth. Every successful person has mastered the repetition of self-belief. They may not have called it manifestation, but they understood the principle. The way you see yourself will always dictate the life you live. The question is, what identity are you reinforcing? Because whether you realize it or not, your repetition is shaping you. The only difference is whether you are doing it by choice or by habit. Eliminate negative repetition. Repetition is always working. It is not selective. It does not distinguish between what is helpful and what is harmful. It simply reinforces whatever is most frequently impressed upon the mind. This means that if you are not consciously choosing what you repeat, your environment, your past, and the world around you will do it for you. Many people unknowingly strengthen the very limitations they wish to escape. They constantly repeat the same complaints, the same frustrations, the same doubts. They focus on what is going wrong, what is missing, what isn't working. Every time they do, they are reinforcing lack, struggle, and failure. And then they wonder why life keeps giving them more of the same. Neville Goddard said, "Man moves in a world that is nothing more or less than his consciousness objectified. If your consciousness is filled with repeated thoughts of limitation, your world will reflect limitation. If your words affirm struggle, your reality will echo it. If your inner conversations are filled with doubt, life will continue to prove you right." The first step to breaking this cycle is awareness. Begin to notice how often you repeat something negative. Notice the casual phrases you use. "I'm so unlucky. This always happens to me. I never have enough time." These are not just statements. They are instructions you are giving to your subconscious. And through repetition, they are shaping your life. The second step is replacement. It is not enough to simply stop negative repetition. You must replace it with something new. Instead of "I'm always tired," affirm, "My body is full of energy." Instead of "Nothing ever works out for me," affirm, "Everything is unfolding perfectly." At first, it may feel unnatural, but that is only because the old patterns have been reinforced for so long. With persistence, the new repetitions will take hold, and the outer world will shift accordingly. What you allow into your mind also matters. The conversations you engage in, the news you consume, the media you watch, all of it influences what you unconsciously repeat. If you are constantly surrounded by negativity, fear, and doubt, it will seep into your subconscious. This is why Neville spoke of the importance of guarding your mental diet. What you feed your mind through repetition is just as important as what you feed your body. Look at your daily habits. What are you reinforcing? What are you allowing to take root in your mind? Because repetition is always working, whether for you or against you. The only question is, are you using it to create the life you want, or the life you fear? Repetition is not just about affirmations or visualization. It is also about the emotions you return to, day after day. One of the most powerful emotions you can repeat is gratitude. It is more than just a positive feeling. It is a state of being that shifts your entire reality. Most people think gratitude is something they feel after receiving something good. They believe they must wait for circumstances to improve before they can be thankful. But this is backwards. Neville Goddard taught that feeling is the secret, and gratitude is the feeling of already having received. When you repeatedly enter the state of gratitude, you impress upon your subconscious that what you desire is already yours. And because the subconscious does not question, it only accepts, it begins to shape reality to match that assumption. Think about how you feel when you receive something wonderful, an unexpected gift, good news, or a long-awaited opportunity. There is a lightness, an ease, a deep satisfaction. Now imagine if you could feel that way before anything has physically changed. That is the power of gratitude. The more you return to this feeling, the more your subconscious works to make it real. Neville said, "Be thankful as though you had already received and you shall receive." This is why a daily gratitude practice is so effective. Each time you repeat what you are thankful for, you are reinforcing abundance, joy, and fulfillment. You are telling your subconscious that you already have, and the world responds accordingly. Make it a habit to express gratitude, not just for what is in front of you, but for what is still unseen. Instead of saying, "I hope I get what I want," say, "I am so thankful that it is already mine." Instead of focusing on what is missing, focus on what is already unfolding in your favor. If you do this consistently, if you make gratitude a repeated state of being, your reality must shift to reflect it. The mind is always repeating something. It can repeat worry, doubt, and frustration, or it can repeat appreciation, confidence, and trust. What you choose to reinforce is what will grow. Gratitude is not just a nice practice, it is a tool of transformation, and the more you use it, the more life gives you to be grateful for. Use spare moments to strengthen your vision. Most people believe that manifesting requires long, dedicated sessions of meditation or visualization. They think they must set aside special time each day to focus on their desires. But the truth is, the most powerful shifts happen in the small, repeated moments throughout the day, the ones most people overlook. Neville Goddard taught that imagination is the key to creation, and it does not need to be confined to a formal practice. A few seconds of focused vision, repeated often, is far more effective than a single long session filled with doubt. The mind responds to consistency, not duration. This means that the way you use the spare moments of your day, the times when your mind is free to wander, can determine what you manifest. Throughout the day, there are countless moments of stillness, waiting in line, sitting in traffic, walking from one place to another. These moments are often filled with idle thoughts, worries, or distractions. But if instead you use them to reinforce your vision, you are constantly impressing your subconscious with your desired reality. Imagine yourself already living the life you desire. See it clearly for just a few seconds. Feel the emotions of having it. Hear the words you would speak if it were already done. Then release it and go about your day. The next time a spare moment arises, repeat the process. Each repetition strengthens the impression. Each time you return to the vision, you are adding more weight to it, making it more real in your subconscious. Neville said, "Your imagination is the instrument, the means whereby your redemption from slavery, sickness, and poverty is effected. If you refuse to assume the responsibility of the incarnation of a new and higher concept of yourself, then you reject the means, the only means whereby your redemption, that is the attainment of your ideal, can be effected. This means that your imagination, used repeatedly and with purpose, is the most powerful force in your life. It is not about how long you visualize, but how often you return to it. Instead of filling spare moments with distractions, fill them with intention. Reinforce your vision, again and again, until it feels as real as the world around you. Because once it does, the world around you must shift to match it. The words you speak shape your reality. Every word you speak is a declaration. Whether you say it casually or with intent, you are affirming something about yourself and your world. The subconscious mind does not differentiate between a joke and a serious statement. It simply accepts what is repeated. This is why being mindful of your words is essential. You are either reinforcing what you desire or what you wish to avoid. Many people unknowingly affirm limitations all day long. They say, "I can't afford this. I'm always so tired. Things never work out for me." They believe they are merely describing their situation, but in reality they are giving commands to their subconscious. And through repetition, these words become facts in their lives. Neville Goddard said, "Words, if persistently repeated, will awaken what they affirm." This means that no matter what you are experiencing right now, if you repeatedly affirm a new reality, it must take form. Instead of saying, "I never have enough," begin saying, "I always have more than enough." Instead of reinforcing struggle, declare ease. Instead of speaking lack, speak abundance. The most effective words are those spoken in the present tense, as if your desire is already yours. When you say, "I am successful," "I am loved," "I am thriving," you are impressing your subconscious with a new identity. And the more you repeat it, the more natural it becomes. It is also important to listen to how you speak about others, your circumstances, and life itself. Complaining, criticizing, or focusing on difficulties only reinforces more of the same. The mind does not separate what you say about yourself from what you say about the world. It simply reflects the dominant themes of your speech. If you want to change your life, change the way you speak. Pay attention to the words you use most often. Do they support the reality you want to create? Or are they reinforcing the one you wish to leave behind? Speak only what you wish to experience. Make your words match the life you want to live. Through repetition, your subconscious will accept it, and once it does, your reality will begin to follow. Repetition is only effective if it is consistent. A single affirmation, a brief moment of visualization, or an occasional positive thought will not create lasting change. The subconscious mind is not influenced by what you do once. It is shaped by what you do repeatedly, day after day, until it becomes second nature. Many people give up too soon. They affirm something for a few days, visualize their desire once or twice, and when nothing changes immediately, they assume it does not work. But reality does not shift instantly. It responds to the dominant state of mind. If your dominant thoughts are still filled with doubt, if your old beliefs are still reinforced more than your new ones, then nothing will change. Neville Goddard said, "Persist in the assumption that you already are the person you want to be, and that persistence will harden into fact." This is the secret, not effort, not struggle, just persistence, the willingness to repeat the new belief until it becomes the only belief. The reason repetition works is because the mind is designed to accept what it encounters most frequently. Think about how habits are formed. At first, a new behavior feels unnatural, but with enough repetition, it becomes automatic. The same is true for your self-concept. At first, affirming, "I am confident," may feel false, but with enough repetition, it will feel like the only truth. Every person who has achieved success, transformation, or mastery in any area of life has done so through consistent repetition. The athlete who trains daily, the musician who practices endlessly, the writer who writes every day. What starts as effort becomes identity. The same principle applies to manifestation. What you repeat consistently becomes who you are, and who you are determines what you experience. Look at the areas of your life where change feels slow. Have you truly persisted? Or have you only tried for a short time before returning to old patterns? If something has not manifested yet, it is not because it is impossible. It is because the repetition has not been consistent enough to overwrite the old belief. There is no secret beyond this. Repetition creates belief. Belief creates reality. And consistency is what bridges the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Stay with the new assumption long enough, and reality will have no choice but to reflect it. Repetition is the key to transformation. Look at your life as it is today. Every aspect, your relationships, your finances, your health, your confidence, is the direct result of what you have consistently repeated to yourself. Not just in words, but in thoughts, emotions, and assumptions. None of it happened by accident. It was formed through repetition, through daily reinforcement of beliefs that, at some point, became so familiar that they no longer felt like beliefs at all. They simply felt like facts. But here's the question: were these facts ever truly facts? Or were they simply patterns that hardened into reality because they were never challenged? The truth is, most people are trapped in cycles of repetition they did not consciously choose. They replay old disappointments, rehearse fears, and reaffirm limitations. They assume that what has been will always be, because they have unknowingly trained their minds to expect the same outcomes. And so, reality complies, not because it must, but because the mind will always seek to prove itself right. Neville Goddard said, "You must be willing to remain faithful to your vision, repeating it over and over again, until it feels natural." This is the secret to all transformation. Not willpower, not effort, faithful repetition. The process is simple, but most give up before it takes root. They affirm something new for a few days, visualize briefly, and then allow doubt to creep back in. And with each doubt, they undo their progress, reinforcing the old story once again. Imagine planting a seed in the ground. You water it, nurture it, and for days, even weeks, you see nothing. But beneath the surface, the roots are forming, establishing themselves. If you dig it up too soon, searching for proof, you kill the process before it has a chance to flourish. The same is true for your manifestations. The repetition of new beliefs is the watering of the seed. The unseen work is happening, even if you cannot measure it yet. This is why persistence matters. The subconscious mind only accepts what is repeated consistently, without contradiction. It does not respond to a single affirmation or a fleeting moment of belief. It responds to dominance. Which assumption is repeated more, the old one or the new one? The mind will always conform to the belief that has been reinforced the most. If you have spent years telling yourself, "I'm not good enough," it has become a deeply ingrained truth. Replacing it with, "I am worthy," will not happen in an instant. It must be planted, watered, and nurtured until it feels more real than the old belief ever did. Neville taught that the key is to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This is where most people go wrong. They repeat affirmations mechanically, without feeling, without embodying the state. But repetition is not just about words. It is about feeling the truth of those words. If you repeat, "I am wealthy," but continue to feel the lack of money, your subconscious does not accept the words. It accepts the feeling that accompanies them. This is why visualization, mental rehearsal, and nighttime impressions are so powerful. When you see yourself living the life you desire, when you feel the emotions of already having it, when you allow that experience to dominate your inner world, you are shaping your subconscious more effectively than through words alone. The principle is always the same. Repetition creates belief. Belief creates reality. The people who master this are the ones who refuse to waver. They do not allow appearances to dictate their faith. They do not abandon their assumption when reality seems unchanged. They persist, repeating the new state again and again until it becomes the only truth. Look at your own life. What have you been repeating unconsciously? What assumptions have you allowed to shape your circumstances? And most importantly, what will you choose to repeat moving forward? Because whether you do it consciously or not, repetition is always working. It is either reinforcing what you desire or what you fear. The choice is yours. If you truly want transformation, commit to this. For the next 7 days, choose one belief that aligns with the reality you desire. Write it down, speak it, feel it, imagine it as if it were already true, and repeat it again and again until it takes root. Leave no room for contradiction. Let repetition work for you rather than against you. And when you look back, weeks or months from now, you will see that the shift was never outside of you. It was always within. It was always in what you chose to believe over and over again, until the world had no choice but to match it.